Nope. Oh, there we go. I always wait for the. I wait for that red button. I'm like waiting for the red
Ah,
button, and then we're
I know.
recording, and we're ready to rock.
I never know if it's immediately recording, if we're gonna cut off, or if we're just two idiots staring at each other for like 4 minutes waiting for the button to. But
all of it.
I guess it's recorded.
It's all under the same umbrella. It's all happening at once.
All right, so let's do this. So I'm Armand Rosamilia. You're JC Walsh.
I am JC Walsh.
What
And
are
I'm
we
going.
drinking tonight?
Well, I don't have anything for our theme to drink, so I have to go with my usual pumpkin beers, of course, because I'm a loser and I celebrate Halloween like a fiend, especially from September 1st, which is yesterday, up to now.
Yeah.
So it is a pumpkin coffee milk stout. My first time trying this one, so I'm
It's
gonna
interesting.
pour it right on screen,
I don't know
and then
about
you
the
guys.
pumpkin part, but the
Yeah,
rest of
yeah.
it sounds.
I didn't like the caramel one. Whoa. There's
No.
no pumpkin or beer. It was all caramel. You're like drinking a liquid caramel thing. So I'm like, no. Live action reaction. Not bad. I like it.
I wish it was bad, so you'd throw it over your shoulder,
I was thinking about that.
just
Like,
shatter it everywhere. That would be
although
bad.
I this is my Rhode Island
Oh yeah, you can't do
Newport
that.
Storm. I can't get rid of this. I don't even know if I can get it again.
Newport Storm.
Mm-hmm. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking in honor of us doing westerns. I'm drinking a Kentucky Mule,
Ooh.
not a Moscow Mule, a Kentucky Mule. And I'm gonna be totally honest. It's my first time having it. It's all right, but it's not something that I will probably ever pick again.
So we are both trying something new today. Look at that. That's.
I think you did better than I did though. It's so it's bourbon. It's lime juice, and it is ginger beer.
Oh, I'm a big fan of ginger beer.
So yeah, but I think it's too much. I think I put too much lime. Although I mean, all I did was I just doubled the recipe, but it still tastes. All I'm tasting is the lime right now.
Yeah,
I'm
I
hoping
do
the
like
ice.
your. Oh, sorry.
Interrupt me. I'm hoping the ice kind of kills some of that lime. I'm drunk already. I just had 2 sips. JC, calm down.
Sorry. I must be with you because I'm already getting all overexcited and jumping in. I noticed your outlaw shirt, so you're rocking like a.
I got my right. So I got it's my Willie, my Johnny, my Waylon, and my Chris. Got my outlaw shirt that I'm wearing. So yeah, I came prepared tonight. If I had a cowboy hat, that has nothing to do with cowboys, but good for you.
What? It's Rob Zombie inspired by spaghetti westerns turned to a horror movie, so it is a modern day horror western.
That's a put. Maybe if you had like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre shirt, that would have been closer.
Yeah, that's next.
Anyway, all right. So this this month, I guess we're doing this about every month. This month's theme is westerns.
Yep.
Horror westerns. So I'm a big fan of westerns, going way back. So I was excited, and when you put 4 movies out, I've only seen one of these. So I was excited to watch all 4, which I did. My wife goes away for work a couple days a month, and then I usually watch all the documentaries she doesn't want to watch, which is all of them, and then whatever you and I pick, then I'll watch all these movies. So there it is. I'll let you take the lead on this one again.
Yes, sir.
So where do you want to start?
So we'd start with the one we've both seen since that was on the top of the list. The Burrowers. Did my accent take screwed up? I think I said it right.
No, you didn't say it even close.
Borrow. Help me out here.
No, it's not. The Borrowers is
Borrower,
that.
Yeah, okay.
No, the Borrowers is that cartoon with the rats, I think.
Okay.
We didn't watch that. I think that was a Disney.
No, we didn't. I'm
the
trying to get my U and R, not AR.
Yeah.
U and R.
Burrowers.
A and R.
There's my Jersey accent now.
Oh,
you know what, everybody? Read it in the description. You know what friggin' movie it was. Talking about from 2008.
Yeah.
I was surprised it was this old. So go ahead, give me your first impressions of it.
So, oh man, I mean, right off the bat, I mean, when I first heard of this movie, I was really, excited because it's probably my first Western horror. I think no, that's kind of a lie, but like first one I really remember or get into. I think my very very first Western horror was House 2. That was really cool. Like I don't know if you ever heard of that House 2. There was actually an undead cowboy in it. It was freaking awesome. And then it was really cheesy and fun for like a 8-year-old kid. So, but with this, you really get the harsh landscapes of what an old Western is. And then during the Dakota Trails, on top of it too, like I think it was like right in the midst of Civil War, I think, or somewhere past it.
Right.
I forgot what year they said. I think it's right in the middle of it. And right away, of course, you see a family get attacked by monsters. You don't really see the monsters, but you know that something's happening. People are shooting like crazy. You see the claw come through the floor. Some dude gets pulled underneath some freaking hole, whatever the heck. So it already starts off like a classic monster horror movie,
Right.
which is really cool. Really sets the stage for what you should expect. But then it really takes you on this journey of like it's not just the monsters. You got this really flawed human story going on in it with a lot of things that's happening. I remember this movie being harsh. And I've seen it multiple times. I love it. I right off the bat, I'm going to say right now, I love this movie. And then to revisit it again after maybe 3 or 4 years, the last time I watched it, which is unfortunate. To revisit that harsh tone to this movie it was great. But it was also like, holy crap, there's a lot of uncomfortable stuff.
Right.
That was like the overlay, of the metaphor and the like there's another word for it but I lost it, but like you have all this human stuff going on and then you still in like a classic horror movie you barely see the monsters. They build it so perfect,
Right.
so when you get to that final conflict it was like holy crap, like I could watch 15 more minutes of this, but still those like the way they build up so much is like it was just so crucial and so well done, and then they did that so little throughout the movie.
Right.
And then to throw all that human drama in it too.
Well, there's so much conflict between all of the characters.
Yeah.
There's the racism. There's all the other stuff that really, I mean, really bumps all of them together. The guy who plays the like lieutenant or whatever he is plays for the
my
army.
God, I'm glad you brought him up. Henry.
Yeah, every freaking thing he's ever been in. That guy is just such a douche.
That's what I said to my wife.
He is so great at it too. I mean,
I was hoping you say douche too.
Yeah,
this guy's a douchebag.
I know. As soon as I saw him walk on, and I could get again. I don't watch movies 2 or 3 times. I watch them one time. So for me, it's the same thing. I probably watched this movie years ago, and so to watch it again and you go, oh, that's that douchebag, or that's the guy who's the other guy, the bigger guy. Like he's been in everything. Like I've seen him in Stranger Things, and he's all the way back to. I always remember him in Bad Boys with Sean Penn. You remember that one?
No.
Not the Will Smith garbage. There's a movie Bad Boys, and he's in it. He plays.
I probably have seen it.
One of the bad guys in that.
Which actor was that one?
The rancher, the older.
The old Clancy Brown.
Yeah.
Love him. Him. He's in Pet Sematary too. I know him from mostly Starship Troopers. I know him from other horror sci-fi.
Right. Yeah.
I remember Bad Boys as a kid. And I seen stuff like that.
He's in like he's been in like everything, and he's good. I like him. But so all those characters, it's like almost with the conflicts and everything else, and then you have the cook, and you have all these other people, and you forget there's monsters going along. So how did you feel about once they kind of unspool not only what the monsters are, but then how they do what they do, I guess you could say.
I loved how they do it because like today it could seem like a typical trope to some degree. The way they found out, but I think it really plays. I can see that, but I think it also plays very well to the history of like again. That's why I love saying harsh landscapes because like it not only does it play off like a lot of the conflict with the characters, it plays off of like what human beings do. Like right. you get these armies, these people coming in, and then and they do all these horrible things to like. I'll throw one little quick spoiler out there. It's like what happens to the buffalo type of thing, and then that is and then that is what kind of like made these things hungry for human flesh. It almost feels like Jaws when they talk about that, like how a predatory animal like
Right.
loses its food and goes for other sources. It makes you think of like, what if we deplete all the fish out of the sea? What the heck will come out of the sea because there's no food for it, and will become food? So there's a lot of that really environment. It's like very minimal environmental.
There's a great book that was written about that, about the sea life attacking people. It's called "The Sea Was Angry" by Armand Rosamilia, from Severed Press. You should buy it. It's really good.
I do have that. It's actually really good. Now, what's the sequel going to be? The Ground Was Angry? It could be Burrowers Part 2 meets...
The Air Was Angry.
The Air Was Angry.
I like this because I liked it better after seeing it again.
Mm-hmm.
Because after having not seen it for so long, I was like, man, I hope I don't sit down and watch this thing and it's like Tremors 7. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I did. In fact, I think, wasn't one of the Tremors movies, didn't they do a Wild West version?
Oh my god, I almost did that. I was like, no, this is too stupid, because like you're not gonna get. I'm like, I don't know if Armand's ever seen the Tremors. They may throw some humor from the other movies that may not make sense to him, even though it's like the Wild Wild West. It may take you out of the story.
I think I saw the first two.
The first one's the best one. The second one's kind of cool too.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoy all of them for their stupid.
So here's a funny thing that has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine, Frank, I went to school with. He went to Montclair University for college, and his roommate had a denim jacket hanging on. He had it on the wall, on a clip on the wall. Mm-hmm. When we went and visited him, it was like, why is the dude hanging up his denim jacket? It was the denim jacket that Kevin Bacon wore in Tremors.
Oh, no chance. Excuse me.
This dude had bought for a lot of money, and like he had bought that. I laughed. I was like, of all the movies, Tremors, and it's a Kevin Bacon jacket from Tremors. Like, it was just weird.
I mean, all the well, I mean, at least in all the horror fans, like that's one of their favorite Kevin Bacon roles, and of course Friday the 13th where he dies. I don't know what's up with that. That's a little weird, but I don't get that at all.
But anyway, overall, I like this. Overall, yeah. I liked it. I think I probably liked it better the second time.
That's cool.
I really, you knew what the ending was gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still really harsh when you watch it again, and you're like, "Oh, this is." And dude. Again, it's all that it really has nothing to do with the monsters and all that. It just really has to do with the conflicts and the racism and all the other stuff.
Well, I mean, it's like what which ones? It's the old, but also still tired and true thing of like which one's the real monster, the creatures or the humans.
Right.
And especially him that Henry character, I think he's the villain out of all of it. I think he's the bad guy out of all of this. I think those creatures just do their thing, and then these people are just trying to survive despite all their own human conflicts. There was like this contradictions of their prejudice, but also their mutual respect for each other.
Right.
And I love that about all those characters. They're such three-dimensional characters. So it is a whirlwind of all these like mismatch of like harsh things that I thought was very well written. It's probably some of my favorites. It doesn't really contradict too much. It doesn't get sloppy or chopped up, And yeah, it goes from a really epic monster battle, which looks very ritualistic, by the way, and then and into like that ending. It's like it almost has like a dark satirical tone to it too, to some degree. It's like some really messed up dark humor to it.
Like it's coming, but it still sucks the way they do it.
Yeah. But that's a good start. It's a good start for this crazy theme.
All downhill from here, Jason.
All downhill, because it's funny you say that, because now I believe the next one's Dead Birds.
Dead Birds 2004 just came in.
So this movie kind of pissed me off.
All right, I'm going to say this. What were you thinking with this one?
Because I never seen it, and I knew it's been around for a while. It got some high praise in the B movie area. I'm like, all right, we gotta give this a shot. We have to do it. I think it'll be a great conversation. It's another horror western. It's been one I've seen on the shelves for a long time, and it's on Prime now or Tubi, which one I forgot. And
I watched it on Tubi.
Yeah, I think I did too. And I'm like, cool, we're going to do this. We're going to do this finally. It'll be a great discussion. And then, and the concept's crazy, right? Again, with it go with the racism of those times and the wars and stuff. It goes like ex-Confederate flag, ex-Confederate soldiers. Sorry, I just went a little. Team up with a runaway slave and a nurse and become bank robbers. I mean, that's a wild idea. And then you see that happen in the beginning. The first 5 minutes is this insane action. It's like over the top violence. I was like,
Yeah,
holy crap.
it was a lot of. So as I'm watching the first like 5 minutes, I'm like, he just shot the guy in the face, and there's like
it was crazy.
there's not that much blood in an entire body, let alone in somebody's head. But
it was over. It was over. It was
spraying everywhere. And I was
magic.
like, oh my god, this is cheesy. And it was like all of that, and then it just kind of switches to like a cliche haunted house movie.
You said it, dude. I was, and my poor wife, she watched 2 of these with me. I actually couldn't. I never got a chance to watch them, so I finally got to watch 3 of them last night and 1 before we got on here. And I was trying to just do them all in a row, and then and I just looked at her and said, "This movie is killing me. It started off good, and now it just turned to cliche trope. The pacing was horrible.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna start that, especially how fast paced you start. I'm like, okay, even when you get to see one of the creatures right away, I'm like, oh wow, this movie's not messing around. And then it just went downhill, and it got worse.
Yeah. Well,
it sucks because these are really good characters too in this.
Some of the characters are good. I like the setting, but I'm like, all right, they're going through an old cornfield, and you got the big haunted house, and I'm like, okay,
kill a scarecrow.
yeah, and I'm like, all right, we're doing pretty good here. And then it was like almost like, okay, what can we randomly do with this script to separate people so weird things happen to them? And then I'm like, this house isn't that big. It's a big house, but it's not. People are looking out windows and they're seeing somebody walking, and then they go follow them, and then they get lost, and it's just like, it was like almost, I would say, a good 45 minutes of the movie where I was watching. I was looking at my phone. I was like, I know I'm not involved when I get up to get a drink, and I don't even pause it. I'm just kind of listening because I know, okay, here comes something stupid, and it was really, it had some. So what's funny is it had some cool actors in it.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it had what's his name from E.T. It had Elliot from E.T.
Like what?
Which is pretty, and he was pretty good. And then the other guy was also a childhood actor. Shit, I can't think of.
I looked this up too, and I already forgot. I looked all this up because I was like, these people all look familiar.
Yeah.
And they're all in horror movies too. They're all in other different.
Yeah. All of them. I've seen them in other things, and I was like, oh, that's cool. There's also another child actor, who's in this one now. So it was all, that part of it was interesting, but then you start to like, none of it made sense, and then even like the whole, when they do the big reveal of why they're even there, and I'm like, well, that doesn't even make sense. Like none of this makes.
It could have been the Western version of the Evil Dead. I mean, they had the book set up idea. They had the bloody basement and these experiments go wrong. And this is probably one of the most goriest ones I picked. And I remember the scene when the woman gives birth to whatever that thing is. And I'm like, oh my God, Armand's gonna kill me. Not only is it gross, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, as a gore fan, it looks great, but it doesn't, like, again, it's almost like when you're writing a very extreme scene in your story. Does it work?
Yeah.
And it could have. A lot of this could have worked, but then it stayed.
Well, we get into again, we get into slavery, we get into the times, we get into a lot of, for me, it was a lot of needless bloodshedding and over the top, especially when they started yelling. I mean, they're yelling a lot, and I'm like, I don't know, I went away very disappointed, and of course I'm like, oh, so they saw a dead bird, so we're gonna call this thing Dead Birds.
Yeah, like, and they're
I
all
mean, there's
mutated. Like, what? I said, oh my god, we're gonna see like mutant creatures? No.
no.
And then the ending.
Yeah, the ending was like, oh come on, that's just. I mean, it's I don't know.
At first, I was like, oh, yeah, that's a cool little twist. Like, no, it's not, because it doesn't.
No,
It doesn't really lead up to that. It's like, and they try to make it
no.
look like an illusion, and then it's like you think everybody's gonna get trapped into falling for that. I'm like, oh god, stop it, stop.
Yeah, yeah. It was
And I
very.
didn't. Oh, sorry.
No,
I'm
just
going in a rant.
so I can go on a rant too.
Yeah.
So I literally, the movie ended, and I literally stopped, and I literally said, "JC, I'm going to kill you," because I watched that movie. I was like, "This is," and then my wife called. She was in Atlanta. She called. She was like, "Oh, you watching your stupid movies?" I said, "Oh my god, let me tell you how bad this movie was." And then I like told, and she's like, "Yeah, I wouldn't watch that anyway, but I definitely wouldn't watch it." I was like, "Yeah, it's just."
So many good ideas ruined. For what reason?
Yeah, I mean, it had some promise to it.
Yeah.
It had again really good actors.
Yeah.
It had a really good cast to it. I think it was all wasted. And of course, then you watch it and you go, wow, all these people used to have careers and they used to be able to do some pretty good movies, but now they're stuck doing this.
That's what a lot of actors in like high end Hollywood end up doing. At the point they just disappeared in a lot of independent movies.
Yeah.
So some it works out for, like Nicolas Cage is now a genre upon himself, and
Well, Nicolas Cage is, I'm going to take any movie because I need to pay my taxes. That's pretty much Nicolas Cage.
I've seen 3 or 4 of those. And I'm liking what he's doing. Oh man, so I don't think we need to say much on this one.
No,
Like
no.
that one, I knew we were both gonna go into it. Like, what the hell? And, I'm glad I got because I didn't see, other than the Burrowers, God help me. I haven't, these other 3 I'd never seen.
Right.
And for disclaimer, one of the movies I picked but we couldn't get was The Pale Door. And I think you will like that, and I hopefully we can do another part 2 to Western Horror, and then we can get that one, because
Right.
that one would fit really well with this. But I'm also kind of glad with the last selection too, which we'll get to. I'm kind of glad for that one. It's kind of different and cool. But yeah, no.
All right, yeah. Let's not talk about. I'm getting mad now. I'm getting drunk and mad. What's
Drunk
the
and mad, not a good combination.
what's the third one?
The third one, I almost forgot the name. Oh, The Wind. It was just Gone with the Wind in my mind.
The Wind,
The Wind.
2018.
Yeah, that's very recent.
Relatively new. Yes.
Very. And I've heard some decent things about this movie, and then I knew it was supposed to be a slow burn, and then me with slow burns, I always hesitate because I had to be in a mood for a lot of slow burns. I like a little more faster pace. This is the way I am. My mind is, like with things. So I'm like, oh, cool. This is gonna be a good pick. So when I found out it was on Netflix, I'm like, this would be cool for us to talk about, because I hear some cool things about this. And this is neat because this one was very atmospheric. They really dive in. That intro scene, like when she comes out covered in blood, and you're like, oh, okay, we're going there already.
Yeah.
We're eating dinner, and this part comes on. I'm like, oh, great. Sorry, honey. Whoops.
Well, there's about the first 20 minutes of this, you don't really know who these characters are
Mm-hmm.
and what their relationships are, which I liked. I
Mm-hmm.
liked that. The problem I had with this movie is it was too slow.
Yeah.
Like I after about half an hour, 45 minutes, I literally just paused it and I went and did some work and I did other things. And then I came back and I watched like another 20, 25 minutes. I think I watched this over like 4 or 5 times, which is not a good sign for me.
Yeah.
And I kept waiting for the hook. I kept waiting for that big part. I mean, even when the preacher shows up, I'm like, all right, I know exactly what's going to happen here. And it did. And it was just a lot of, this is one of those movies that's like a weird symbolism, and
Yep.
you got the goat and you got all these things that
I love goats in horror movies. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, look at this thing.
But it's and that's what it is. It's like, oh, come on, seriously? Like, I don't even watch horror movies anymore, and I'm already over the goat thing. You have
I
to put a
started laughing.
freaking goat in here, yeah.
I'm like, oh, we got a shape shifting goat.
Yeah.
Oh, I said wind goat. Dork.
So I was like, so I don't know how I feel about this movie. after I watched it, I'm like, I think I liked it, but then I'm like, I can't pick anything that I really liked about it.
Yeah.
And I think that was the problem. The setting was great.
Yeah.
The mood, everything was great on it, but it was really, it got a lot. There's a lot of the cliches. There's the book. There's the possession. There's all these infighting between these two couples, and all the, they're out in the middle of nowhere, and you get a lot of long lingering shots of the
Yeah.
homestead, and obviously, like, you clothing on the line, and then you get wolves show up for no reason, and I mean, it's just, I don't know. I
They
had
were out
trouble.
of nowhere.
Yeah, I had trouble. Well, there was no follow up
Yeah.
on a lot of these things. It's like, let's put cool visuals in here to fill up the time, but we really don't have. To me, it's like we really don't have a movie. We don't have. We probably have a 20-minute short that probably would have been terrifying.
Yeah.
But they like stretch it to an hour and a half.
That's the main problem with this movie. I love the surrealism to it, the isolation. I mean, this really gave you that, like,
Right.
and again with like the Burrowers that harsh the land. This really did it, because now you've seen like just families trying to find ways of living, and there's nothing out there. We talk about nothing out there now in modern days when we're talking about rural or living out in the woods. That's nothing compared to what the old days were of doing that, and it's frightening. And I love that they
Right.
really played off that, and it really played into the sense of paranoia, and then the jealousy, and like everything between the characters played off of that. Again, the land and stuff, and it's the same
Right.
thing with the creature. The thing I love and hated about it was like the constant going back and forth between the backstory and how it's non-linear.
Yeah.
It would work great for a novel, and it could have been done right for a movie, but it was almost done right. But the problem was, once you finally get to the monster and everything, there's no payoff, like say with the Burrowers.
Right.
There's cool stuff.
Right.
Like,
I
I was like,
agree.
whoa, this is freaky, like this is cool. And then like I don't need a hardcore explanation, but at the same time, like, you also didn't really give us much either, because
Right.
the conflicts are there, the story's there, but then I think the back and forth, and then the constant slow burn, and like you said, the drawn out shots like took a little bit away from a little more you could have given everybody,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, I like it, but definitely I can see its flaws. It's definitely was flawed, but it's definitely like a really cool experience too.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it better than Dead Birds. It made
Yeah,
it
me
made
too.
it made more sense. I mean, I liked the isolation. I liked, the fact that basically they're like, "Where is everybody?" When the new couple shows up, where's everybody? It's
Hmm.
like, we're it. And then they pass the graveyard with all of those, wooden crosses and everything.
Yeah,
So obviously, from here to wherever they came from, there were at one point, there was a settlement. There were people. There was obviously, there's a couple of houses there. So I don't know. It
yeah.
just seemed to me, it seemed too predictable.
Hmm.
The husband has to leave for a long time, so then she has to deal with stuff on her own, and I just wasn't 100% like, okay, this is, again, when I walk away, because I'm like, well, let me go back to writing, or let me go check my email,
Right.
or I have my phone that I'm playing a game or something on, then I'm like, yeah, this isn't really as interesting as I would like it.
Yeah, yeah. I can see that. I can see that, because I was almost there with this one. The Dead Birds, I almost like was just like playing my phone a little bit, but this one, very close. It still held my interest, because I wanted to see if they would do more.
Yeah.
Um,
Like
but
you said, there wasn't a payout like you were hoping for.
yeah, they could have cut some stuff down a little bit to add a little more, and would still get the same effect, especially with like the things between like the pregnancies and this, and they could go on more into the lore of the monster to really play off of
Right.
every theme in there. Like, okay, fine, it was a goat at one point. It was this. Why? Obviously, it's a trickster to some degree, but what else can we get out of this?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm with you. I think we're both equal on that one too.
All right. So then it takes us to the last one we watched.
Mohawk.
2000 2017.
Yep, very recent. I heard about this. There was a lot of like confusion because some people were like, "Oh, there's not really much of a horror movie," and some people were like, "Yes, it is," and it's on the horror roster. And I was like, "Huh." So I did a little more digging into it, and funny enough, Grady Hendrix is one of the writers.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, his name was right on there. I was like, "What? No, that can't be the same guy." Uh,
Oh, our buddy Grady. I
yeah,
had
so
no idea.
that's pretty cool. So and this involves a Mohawk warrior who like they wanted her. Wait, I want to get the I pull stuff to get the wording right. I don't like getting the not getting the one member of her tribe, sets an American camp ablaze and then starts this conflict between American soldiers.
Right.
And the really cool thing about this is like you had this relationship between her and her tribe member, and I forgot his name, God help me, and then the British man that's like kind of like in this relationship with the three of them, kind of. You find
Right.
out much later.
Right. But
So
he's also pushing the conflict.
he is pushing the conflict, right?
He also gets the warrior basically all riled up enough to go and act against the Americans.
Yep.
So I mean that's kind of really what starts it off.
Yeah, and that sets a whole thing with like fear of war and like and you're like and then you're hearing like these things going to happen and then you fear for your life type of thing. So this one started off pretty quickly. This had a very, very good pace to the movie.
Yeah.
Like it had a lot of survival, and I can see where it would be put into the horror genre. I would say one of the things I was worried about with this was there was an aspect of revenge. Supposedly through the grapevine or while I was reading, there was a little bit of a revenge movie to it. And I know a lot about revenge movies and like those start pop up in the 70s. Those are pretty much exploitive horror movies and they can go over the top. So I was like, well, I picked this because this is like kind of like I was like, oh man, I can't find anything else to replace Pale Door. And then I've been wanting to see this, but I don't know. I was really conflicted with this one.
Right.
And I'm really happy that it wasn't too over the top. It was still pretty dark content.
Right.
But I gotta say, I got a kick because it was really different. There's something really vibrant and weird about this movie. It had a very Quentin Tarantino feel to it, to the characters, like the way they dressed, and some of them were very like quirky and kind of, some of the bad guys are kind of quirky, like looking, with the goggles, or it was a lot of weird awkwardness. These characters, I kind of liked. I didn't like sometimes, but I kind of liked. But then there was a creepiness to them. Like when the first soldier popped up, I called him a young Michael Rooker. That's what he looked like.
Yeah, and that's a great scene because
really
the guys
tense.
Get something big has happened and he's kind of trying to calm down. He drinks water and all of a sudden a voice behind him and there's a soldier, an enemy soldier because he's British.
Yep.
There's an American soldier in all dressed in his refinement, just sitting there with a rifle in his hand, asking very pointed questions. There's an immediate conflict there. I like that. So what's funny is when you first see the woman Oak, you first see the because she's got all black on her face and she's like her face is all painted out. And when she first starts talking, I don't know why I'm like, oh my God, is this the chick from Schitt's Creek who runs the motel? I had to actually pause it. I'm like, there's no way they made her.
Oh my God.
Because she looks like her.
She looks like her, yeah.
And she sounds like her. But so of course I look it up. I'm like, oh no, this is an actual Canadian, tribal woman. She was like from Ottawa or wherever she's from. Like, okay, she. Because I was like, please don't tell me in 2017 you're putting.
Yeah.
And
I got a little worried about that too.
So, but I'm like, oh no, all right. So this is good. Like she's done these roles before. That's good.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
And then I went back to the movie. Was it a horror movie? I don't think it was a horror movie.
Yeah.
I think it had some supernatural elements to it.
Yeah.
Especially in the end. But I think it was really, again, kind of like the other movies. There's the racism. There's the sign of the times. There's the background of Indians versus frontiersmen, or now you add the British versus the Americans in this one versus the versus the Indians. So I mean it was all of that. it also had I guess like all of these movies, if you think about it, it also had a very small cast.
Yeah.
There wasn't a ton of people in this movie either. We were based on this one group here. And I liked the back and forth. I mean, yeah, again with the costumes, you're right. It was like very Tarantino, over the top. Of I'm like, she's running around in the woods with a bright red skirt on. I mean, at one point she falls down, and I'm like, I think she's wearing black panties. you know, I'm like, so it's, I don't know, but overall, it wasn't a bad movie. I think the last, say, 20-25 minutes of it was way too drawn out. There was way too much. I mean, there's a lot of blood in this one,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the end. There's a lot of really cruel things that are happening. The main bad guy in this with the giant floppy ears,
That dude,
he
he's a
was he
crazy
was
character.
he was crazy, but he got even crazier.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I mean, again, you have all these really weird, over the top characters, like you said, the guy with, he's missing an eye, he's got goggles on. The other guy with the big giant bushy beard, he looks
Yeah.
like. So you have all these different really over the top characters. I was, there's, the dandy guy with the weird hat on, and I mean, you have a lot of really over the top characters, but there's a lot of violence in this one.
Yeah.
But I think it worked. I mean, and I don't think it was violent just to be violent. Kind of like, was the Dead Birds one in the beginning? Was just like, let's see how much
Yes.
blood we can throw on the wall.
I was thinking that, so like, holy crap, Dead Birds is actually worse than this, because I was really concerned with like, and the guy who directed this, Ted, I don't remember his last name. He also co-written this with Grady. He's done a lot of horror movies. I think he teaches film within exploit horror movies, so he's in it. So I was like, oh crap, I don't know what just put us through, but we'll see what happens. And I think the over the topness, because also the same way with how creepy the soldiers were, the way they came into when they first introduced that whole scene, it had a Last House of Left Field to it too. I don't think you've seen that. You don't need to see that, but like it just had that feel, like that old school Wes Craven, these quirky people, but they're dangerous, type of thing. But I was also happy for the over the top wackiness, because it really toned down the amount of violence. Like, it kind of had this like really fun B movie to it.
Yeah.
But also kind of like give you like very in-depth characters, and you also got a different perspective. Like you've seen it through a Mohawk tribe character instead of the usual settler, ranch settler. So that was cool. And then but you see a lot of different viewpoints in this. That was really neat. So I actually. Like things that when I read the description, it doesn't say revenge film. It's got that human survival horror feel to it.
Right.
But when I read about it a while ago, it was described as a revenge film. And because I had that in my head, I wanted to see more of her supernatural elements near the end, because that was some cool stuff. It got a little cheesy, the battle, but it was still cool. Like, I want to see a little more of that.
I think there could have been more of that part, but less of the battle itself. Because there's nothing really. The first hour of this movie, there's nothing except for she has some visions.
Yeah.
Every time she sleeps, so it's coming.
Yeah.
I mean, they're foreshadowing it like from the first 10 minutes of this thing, so it's coming. I just think when we got there, it was like, all right, like we know it's coming, and then we're gonna draw it out.
Yeah.
So there were some scenes. Again, the setting is great. We're basically in the middle of the woods, trudging around. I liked all that. I like the fact that there's not 1,000 Indians running through the woods against 1,000 soldiers, and we get that kind of, the big battle, the big grand battle scene. It's literally this group of guys versus this handful of people.
Yep.
And that's it, and the chase is on, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's more intimate that way too. It gives you time to, because despite that, I wish there was more things better in this movie. Again, and all the movies, except for Dead Birds, because Dead Birds almost had that. All the movies, you get a really good feel of the characters. You really can feel for them, especially like when they are going through a trauma or whatnot, and then you're rooting for them to some degree, and then like this battle of human versus human throughout all these movies. No matter what supernatural element, there's still a lot of human versus human. So they did really well with that. Like the characters are all well done.
There's a couple of characters in this that die pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And at points where you're like, oh no, and then all of a sudden they're killed, and you're like, all right. And I like that because I was like, all right, not expected. Yep. And it's a character. All the characters have really good depth to them, I think, and they're all very unique. So there wasn't anybody who's just kind of, especially once you start getting into it, there's no characters left that was like, well, this is the cannon fodder. This is the guy that you know is going to die.
Right.
Like,
you don't have that typical trope.
Right. So you don't have like the three guys standing in the back, the red shirts walking, and they're getting killed then.
What, Star Trek?
So, I thought that was kind of neat because as people die, and obviously people are dying in this one, that's not really a spoiler.
There's a beautiful headshot in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, whoa!
And I thought that was kind of neat because you even if you hate these people, you're really invested in these people as you're watching it.
Yeah. I think if they cut down some of the parts, they really, because again, those fast-paced moments, but they really dragged out still when we get to the final end. If they pulled a little bit on that and then focus on Oak a little more and her like metamorphosis,
right?
I think we got a little more of that. It would have been a much more. I think I like it a lot. I think it's a good movie. I would watch this again, but I would love to see her change more.
Right.
So, but yeah.
I won't watch it again, but I don't watch movies. There's like 5 or 6 movies I will watch every time they're on.
Beaches.
Well, yeah, obviously Beaches. This is not one of them.
I'm gonna find a beach themed horror movie. It's gonna be all terrible B movies too.
Didn't we already watch? When was the movie we watched?
Islands. Yeah, I guess it's water. It was more like water, but yeah, those water.
I like that one though. That was a good movie.
Sweetheart.
Yeah, really Sweetheart. Cool. That was the title was stupid, but the movie was good. the what I liked about Mohawk the best was that Grady wrote it. I had no idea. That's funny.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's anything else you want to say about that one?
No, I think we're good. I think so let's do like we always do. What would be your order, either 1 to 4 or 4 to 1?
I'm a big fan of doing least 2 to top. I love doing that.
All right.
Least favorite. Dead Birds. Right on the bottom.
Yeah, same with me.
Bottom freaking movie. So yeah, we don't need to go. We already know why.
Yeah, don't watch that movie.
Don't watch that movie. Well, you watch what you want, but it's dead. It's dead.
Despite the good cast of characters in it, I like the characters. I just didn't like what they did with the characters.
Number 3, The Wind.
Yeah, me too.
Just because of like the potential it had, and another one I would watch again. I want the atmospheric feel, but there's so much I wanted more of that movie.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that as well.
Number 2, Mohawk.
Yeah. I liked it. I just wish the payoff was better. I wish if it was going to be a supernatural movie, it was just a supernatural movie or a horror movie. And I think it kind of mixed in a lot of different things and just kind of threw it against the wall at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
It worked. It just didn't work as well as I thought it should have worked.
Yep. I agree with that. I agree. I wanted more focus on her. I was like, oh man, they gotta give her more of a bigger spot, of the cool stuff she did near the end. But it's still a decent movie. It's still really well done. But yeah. And number 1, look at that. We're right on the same.
Yeah.
Burrowers. I mean,
it's a good movie. I think it holds up. It's a good movie. There's some really good creepy scenes in it. I like the whole first half of it when you don't even see the monsters.
Yep.
You see glimpses, you can kind of guess that to me is pretty good, but it sets you up nicely for when you actually do see them and what happens. I thought it was pretty good.
And they're still cool looking too. And then, they got a little bit of that CGI and practical effects combined, but they did it just right. It's again, my favorite thing I like to say, B movie magic. They did a good job.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
All right. So probably out of all of these we've done, probably the least exciting one.
Oh yeah.
For me, it's as far as movie picks, but still, we watched them. We got some joy out of them, and that's all we can do, right?
Yeah, still a fun theme to visit. Would definitely love to revisit this one, and because there's a bunch out there. There's some vampire ones, there's modern day take ones that you got the Dust from Dawn is considered a modern day Western vampire. You got the old school one, Near Dark. I'd never seen. That's got a lot of Western themes. That's from the '80s.
So we'll definitely go back to.
Pale Door. I gotta get you to see that. That's a really cool movie.
Yeah, definitely. Well, by that point, hopefully, it will be on. That's my only thing. I'm not paying for this. I pay for 400 other things, and we watch, Amazon Prime and Tubi and Netflix, and
that sucker was on Prime before. I was like, you dirty rats.
Yeah, that's what happens. Somebody will mention a documentary and like, oh, it's on Prime, and I look and like, oh, it was on 2 days ago, and they took it off. Yeah, that always sucks. All right, so here's the thing, JC.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick the theme for the next.
You're already like it.
I'm not picking the movies. You're picking the movies. That's your thing.
Oh, okay.
I'm not picking the movies. I'm picking the theme.
Okay.
This is what I'm tasking you with. Listen to the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Zombies, but I don't want over the top. So one of my favorite movies of all time, and people are gonna laugh, Dawn of the Dead remake.
Oh,
love that movie.
Love that movie. Wow, I don't even think I knew that.
Yeah, that's probably it's top 4 or 5 movies. If that's on, I will watch that 1,000 times, no matter what part it's at. So think of that. I don't want funny zombie movies.
Yeah.
Like Shaun of the Dead is a phenomenal movie, but I don't want to watch. I don't want to watch Warm Bodies. I don't want to watch any stupid zombie movies that are funny.
I think I already got one.
I also don't want to watch stuff that's just brutal and over the top, and the whole movie is people eating people and that. So think of the Dawn of the Dead remake as kind of your base of stuff on that level. There's some violence, obviously. There's some crazy over the top zombie stuff which I enjoyed. So that's your task for the next episode.
No, okay, wow. So now over the top, but similar to Dawn of the Dead remake. Wow, that's a tough one.
Yeah. And if anybody out there is listening and has an idea, send JC a message. Send them to me. My phone's you probably use some help.
Yeah, get all you hardcore zombie fans out there.
Yeah.
All right, cool. This is a good challenge. I like it.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Right.
So this will be out obviously the beginning of September. The cool part is in about 3 weeks we will be hanging out again.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Can't wait.
We're gonna be doing the Beers and Fears. We're doing one event, 25th, September 25th. We're hanging out at Angry Eric Brewing in Newton, North Jersey. So we'll be hanging out, having some beers and doing that. And then a week later, October 2nd, we'll be in Collingswood Book Fair down in South Jersey, which is cool. Which is not far from where you live, which is good.
No.
Yeah,
a lot of authors, a lot of books, a lot of beer.
Yeah, so this will be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to hanging out with you again, and so soon after MondoCon, we did MondoCon last month, which was awesome. So, all right, man, where can people find you?
People can find me on here with you, of course. Amazon. You can look me up and find my work there. You can also find me on Bonded by Horror, the other show I do. Some more friends from Rhode Island do a little breakdown of one movie that goes crazy. And you can find me on Twitter, JC Horror Writer, Facebook, JC Walsh, Instagram and Slasher, both JC Walsh 81. Just started back my newsletter. Actually, it's going to go out next week. I was going to try to get out this week, but we go out next week. So I got all kinds of new surprises coming out there to keep everybody in the loop. So I got some cool ideas, cool stuff coming up. So
yeah, keep them busy.
That's right.
I just put my my newsletter. I just restarted it, revamped the whole thing. It'll be all my thriller books. So I have an upcoming First Coast thriller series come out in January, and so I'll be talking about that, and also my Dirty Deeds series. So anything thriller, and also my Duncan, a month of Duncan, my nonfiction Duncan book will be coming out in October as well. So I'll be promoting that. And obviously, you can find me here on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter, Armand Author. You can find me on Facebook, Author Armand Rosamilia, and also you can find me on Twitch. I will be doing my Twitch channel very soon. Just Armand Rosamilia. You can find me on there. I'll be doing probably 2 or 3 days a week. I'll be writing a short story or doing my Mondo Method sprints on there 2 or 3 in a row live and basically writing a story off the top of my head. So that'll be a lot of fun too. So check that out as well. And thanks for all the support here. Check out all of our stuff, leave reviews and all that other fun stuff because we definitely appreciate it. Dude, I will see you in 2-3 weeks, and you can buy me a beer.
That's right. I'll buy you too.